everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I would like to share my final thoughts and opinions on the Sitivien knives model ST128. This is a full-size D2 G10 blade right here. This thing is, in my opinion, pretty sweet, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are thinking of it. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This reminds me of a full-size rat, an Ontario rat, right? Like the blade shape, the way it kind of has this little like space up here, and it just gives me that rat vibe. Not saying that they're copying anything. They're definitely doing their own thing for sure. But I will say that this is probably going to be a cheaper, slightly cheaper alternative to a Ontario rat. So, and this is definitely more hand filling, for sure, more hand filling. You can get this guy on Amazon for $24.99. It comes in multiple different colors. Sorry about that. My fiance left the freaking refrigerator door open because she doesn't know how to close doors. Let's see, where was I at? Yeah, this comes in a crap ton of different colors. It even has a natural micarta one too, which I was quite tempted to pick that one up, just to see how Sitivien's micarta is. I've handled 3 other models of Sitivien knives with all G10, but I really liked how this one looked in G10, and I couldn't help myself, so I got this one. Let's see, pulling the specs dimensions off of Amazon. The blade length is 3.66 inches. Handle length is 4.96 inches. Weight is 4.85 ounces. Overall length 8.26. So this is definitely a full-size knife for sure. Here I have a couple of size comparisons. This is the Osborne 940. Close, but still significantly larger. Benchmade bug out. Got the Demco 8020.5. Sitivien Elementum. Spyderco Para 3. And Spyderco Native 5. So those are just some common knives within the hobby that could be compared to, at least in some dimensions. But here we have it up against the Para 3 for thickness overall, and yeah, it is significantly thicker. I don't have the actual my own specs because I don't have a caliper yet. But eventually I will. The blade stock thickness is pretty darn close, but still a little bit thicker than the Para 3. So that's all right. With this being a fully flat ground knife, it goes through material rather well. And this thing is just built pretty darn nice. There is significantly more weight relieving in this model than other ones that I've handled before, but it could still stand to have just a little bit more. It has this quite funky looking lanyard hole back here on both sides that it kind of looks like it's missing a G10 spacer, but I mean, it's a design choice. Can't really be too nitpicky about it. I mean, that was completely intentional. Up here is kind of giving me like that Dirk Pinkerton like little scalloped area in the like jimping where like your hands go and all that, just for a little bit of traction. But it's so soft, and the steel liners are so polished, it doesn't really add anything. I think it's there just to be there. The jimping on the spine of the blade is extremely sharp, and it's great for this application. This is, in my opinion, a full-size work knife for sure. It has what did I put down? I took a couple notes when I took this thing apart to just do some maintenance on it. So on my wicked edge, I sharpened it at 20 degrees each side. The edge was all over the place, but eventually I got it down to 20. It has a free spinning pivot, which is no bueno. Even at this price point, I have seen other knives that have a captive pivot or D-shaped pivot, so it is possible. There were a couple little cleanliness issues I had with this. The channel where the bearings sit within the blade was kind of rusty and just dirty overall. This knife, when I unboxed it, go check out my unboxing and first impressions of this, but yeah, it was kind of dirty, but it wasn't too difficult to clean up. I just used some alcohol, some Q-tips, gave it a little scrub, soap and water, no big deal. But that's just something I believe is worth mentioning. It has steel bearings and a little, steel D10 ball. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's steel, but I could be wrong. I wasn't able to find that on Amazon. But it has bearings. It doesn't really matter because it feels like it's on washers, actually. It could be a whole lot more drop shutty. I mean, the blade is large enough to, bring itself down, but getting this thing, tight enough to where it doesn't have any, wiggle in the blade, it now feels like it's on washers. And I mean, I would have been completely okay if it, was manufactured and there were washers within the pivot. I think it would have still been a pretty good knife, but that's just something I believe is worth mentioning. It has bearings, but it doesn't feel like it. That's all right. I mean, the thumb studs have plenty of bite to, deploy it. There is plenty of room to get at it here in the, with your right thumb, but to reverse flick it, it's like right on that. It's right on that scale. So it's still possible, but you got to get used to it. There's that. So there is their brand stamp and model and blade stamp. So thing is well centered, polished steel liners. There is the barrel that hold for these two screws here. Oh, these are also all T8. So both sides of the pivot are T8, so you need two tools to take this apart, unfortunately. Same thing with, these guys down here. These are all T8, but the pocket clip screws are T6. So, I mean, honestly, there's a lot of premium knives that still aren't using T8 for their body screws. So I thought that was kind of cool when I saw that it was T8. It was a lot easier to take apart, but once I finally took it apart and cleaned it out, I realized that if one side wasn't like tight and had Loctite on it, it would just spin and spin and spin until I used another tool to to remove it from the other side. So this thing was kind of funky to take apart and put back together, but it is possible. It fell apart quite easily. I didn't have to to fuss with it at all, to mess around with it, and it was a pretty easy clean. Just the time that I had with it, taking it apart and cleaning it. I'm happy with the knife overall. I just wish that it was a little cleaner because the other Sitiviens that I've had, they were super clean. They felt like they were brand new knives. This, not so much. There were, a bunch of scuffs on the pocket clip already, and I know that it has this kind of like this stone washing to it, but there were significantly larger scuffs on top of that stone washing. So I don't know if this was used for demonstration or carried for a second and then or maybe somebody bought it and returned it and then it was just shipped off to me. That's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm not gonna make a big stink of it. It's a $25 knife. I still recommend it. there's just, you know, a couple things that I believe are worth mentioning. It's still pretty good behind the edge. I did sharpen earlier today, and I did some cut tests with it, but it is, yeah, it's quite hand feeling and comfortable. Now this drop point blade material, because of the way the, you know, the blade shape is, it will let material slip out from, you know, over here, but that's just because of the blade shape. If this was, you know, a Warncliffe or a sheep's foot or a freaking camel toe hybrid, like, you know, that would probably trap material in a little bit better, but I mean, it's still plenty sharp. Got some cardboard right here, just basic, you know, cardboard that you would get from any box in the mail. Gets the job done, super comfortable. I personally don't feel any hot spots, and it's just great. You know, that the blade is probably the best part of this. Second best being the handles. You know, they're nice and, you know, hand filling and contoured and all. But yeah, that's really it. So a short little video, not much more needed to be said about this guy. Again, I recommend it. I will be linking it in the description below. Have a wonderful day.